Good morning. I just wanted to talk a little bit today about grounding techniques. I wrote a blog the other day about it, and you can find that in the section up above the video section, the vlog section. But I thought I'd do a short video as well, addressing what I think is an important addition to grounding techniques. Um, when I was starting out on my journey with DID, learning about it, and also getting triggered a lot of times, parts of me getting triggered, um, I read about grounding techniques to help out, to help be able to manage the chaotic effects of trauma in everyday life. So I would carry smooth stones in my pocket, uh, little dolls that younger parts of me found comforting at the time. Or I'd have good smelling soaps or yeah, things that were tactilely pleasing to me, that I could take different places that weren't too obtrusive. Um, And I would use the techniques of looking around me, naming, oh, what do I see? I see flowers, I see a table, I see chairs, um, and try and ground myself to the present. I would also carry um, a notebook that would say, here's the date, the current date, here's where we live. I'm not in the place where the trauma occurred. I'm not living in the time when the trauma occurred. So I would try and talk myself through things like that. And those techniques were helpful to a certain extent. I would feel a little calmer, but the problem was I had to continue to focus on uh, the stone or what was around me in order to maintain my composure enough to continue doing what I needed to do in everyday life. So with trauma itself, during the time of the trauma, you have to put aside the negative emotions, the events that are happening, the terror, the horror, the sadness, the grief, all of those things you have to compartmentalize, lock away, because you have to continue with everyday life. You can't deal with them in the moment, so they get stuck in this traumatic memory, and then they burst forth in full, with full emotion, full visual, full sounds, whatever it is, um, when you get triggered. That's what feels so overwhelming, and so they need to not stay dissociated away. They need to be processed into narrative memory so that it's part of your life story and not trapped in this little bubble that's dissociated away from everyday life. So the one addition that I think is so useful to add to grounding techniques is when triggered and I feel terror and I feel like I'm going to die, and it's based in a situation where I felt terror and I was in danger. I had no way of knowing that I wasn't going to die in that time. And so when I get triggered and that comes up, instead of just, oh, I got to turn my attention away from that to this grounding technique, instead I can say, yes, that was terrifying. That was horrifying. I really did think I was going to die. And that's awful. But that's a memory now. That's a memory. So now I can look around me and see where I am and validate the feelings, the emotions, the beliefs, the thoughts that were there in that memory. Validate those instead of pushing them away, embrace them and say, yes, that was terrifying. It was horrible. It was awful. And now I can open my eyes. I can look around me and see where I am and know that I'm safe and I can start processing those things into everyday life instead of pushing them away. So that's what I think is the simple yet really valuable addition to grounding techniques, so that healing can start to come instead of maintaining the dissociation by dissociating into um, the grounding, the things you're using to ground to the present day. So I hope that's helpful, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.